This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're back and we're talking about What If Season 2, Episode 1, What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps?
What's it take for a girl to get a little service around here?
Jeez, I can hear your processors clicking and whirring.
Yeah, the pile of rocks has a point, Nebby. You're a wreck. I don't even think we could pawn you for parts.
I said I'm fine.
Oh, no. This is bad. Those aren't supposed to pay out.
Welcome back, fellow Defenders, to Defenders on TV Podcast Industries. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow Defenders. Yes, welcome back indeed. I hope you had a good, festive jolly. And, of course, I am one of your other hosts, John.
And rounding out this trio of what-ifs, I am Chris.
Welcome back, guys. Yeah, we're talking about What If Season 2. A little bit late, obviously, as our listeners will know. But these episodes start releasing every day from the 22nd of December 2023. And, well, honestly, we've been away on holiday since the 21st of December. So we watched every single one of the episodes so far that have been released up to the 28th of December on a mobile phone. Lying in bed in the morning. So, cause that's the only place we had any kind of demand services. So we've had the opportunity to rewatch them on the massive TV so we can actually take all of our notes and talk about What If Season 2. But overall, guys, what's your thoughts so far in the season? We're not going to spoil anything about the season, but what did you think of the show the second time around as we get the second season of What If?
I'm enjoying it and I'm intrigued.
Interesting. Chris?
Same. For me, I didn't think they could beat the first season. But so far, the way I'm seeing it is the animation's better, the narrative is better. And I actually enjoy the what if aspects of it now. Like, really, the questions I'm going, ooh, this is actually a cool question that you were posing. Like, what if these four things happened and it turned into this one story versus just a singular one change? That's all it took. But yeah, overall enjoy. What about yourself?
Excellent. Yeah, I have to say, I think they've stepped up their game in terms of the animation this season. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
looking.
it's really good.
Every episode has its own distinct style, but they really do feel like they're putting so much more into the show this season. They know what they've got, and they're as you say, Chris, the changes that they're making, they're really interesting stories so far. So really enjoying that aspect so far. And since we're coming into the second season, we should also say season 3 of What If has been confirmed and is already in the works. So we will be getting a third season of What If. And we're also at that point as we watch the episodes that we're not sure whether we're going to have the same situation as we had in season 1, where everything wrapped up in one final episode with everything tying together. So a lot of the episodes do feel very standalone this time, but we said that about season 1, and then everything culminated in the final episode where everybody came together. I do feel by the time we are now, where we've watched about 7 episodes, that there is going to be something culminating, something bringing everybody together towards the end. But we will be talking about all of these episodes individually, talking about the stories within them, and then maybe how they change the universe overall as we get into our discussion. But really loving it so far.
Yes, me too. Before we get into our spoiler-filled discussion, just a quick reminder to pop on over to our website. If you're joining us for the first time, head on over to tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can subscribe to any mysterious podcast player in the multiverse of your choice. And of course, we also have season 1 of What If and our coverage of that if you're joining us for the first time. If you're regulars, you know where to go, of course. And another public service announcement for any new listeners is if you want to send in your feedback on each and every episode of season 2 of What If, you can send in emails to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or you can head on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries, where we have put up spoiler posts for every episode of What If Season 2 so far.
Yeah, I put up all the spoiler posts before we left on holidays, and then found out when I got over there that they were releasing them on the old schedule, not the Loki schedule, so I had to change the time on every single one of them by about 6 hours. So they're coming out at 8 a.m. UK time, midnight over in the US, and I'd set them for a lot earlier. So yeah, that was lots of fun, trying to do that in between all of our visits over the holiday period.
Oh, Disney and your changing of timetables. Pick and choose, Disney.
What
Pick
if Disney stuck to the same timetable?
I know. Be nice, wouldn't it? And it is even weird itself having individual episodes coming out every single day for What If. That's something they've never done before with any of their shows.
I know.
No.
Mixing it up.
They are moving to the weekly... back to the weekly schedule. We've seen this with like Percy Jackson now is weekly. A lot of their stuff is going, seemingly their premiere stuff is going more weekly drops, which I'm here for. We've discussed it multiple times. We like that kind of build up versus like a single day drop. This daily felt very much to me as, okay, here's your Christmas gift for your Marvel fans.
Exactly.
Also though, we do know Echo is coming the first kind of week and a bit into January. I think it's the
9th of January. Yes, all 5 episodes dropping on the 9th of January. And I say the 9th of January, that's because it's on the same schedule as Loki, which means it'll be released about 8 p.m. 9th of January, US, still the 10th of January for us over here in Europe.
That's why I have the 10th of January in my head. Go. Okay,
yeah,
grand.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
was like, are you sure? But okay. And I'm here, and then as you said, Season 3 is already confirmed. That's probably our Christmas gift next year.
Maybe.
Hopefully. Maybe not another 2-year wait.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
But looking at the animation for this show, it could still be 2 years, even though they are working on it at the moment, because there's lots and lots of work that goes into the animated shows as well. But let's get into our discussion about What If Season 2, Episode 1. What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? The executive producers for the show, of course, are Bryan Andrews, AC Bradley, Brad Winderbaum, and of course with Kevin Feige. This episode was written by Matthew Chauncey, who is returning for season 2 as the sole credited writer on this episode. He also co-wrote episodes of Miss Marvel in between the 2 seasons as well.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That must be why I loved it.
There you go. Early announcement of your thoughts on the episode, John.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. The episode was directed by Stephan Franck. He was the supervising animation director on What If Season 1 and was a storyboard artist on Into the Spider-Verse as well. But he's been in the industry for such a long time, all the way back to his first big job on American Tail 2. Fievel Goes West back in 1991.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, long time.
That's a blast from the past.
Absolutely.
You know, my brother was a massive fan of American Tail, so we used to watch 1 and 2 all the time when we were kids.
Wow.
Fievel Mouskevich. He's awesome.
I feel old.
1991.
See, for
There
me,
you go.
it would be Basil the Great Mouse Detective. If anyone else remembers Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
I remember that as well.
Yeah, Ratigan the Evil Rat. Yeah, that's the one.
Excellent.
Much better than Fievel.
Oh, no,
My
no.
own opinion.
No, different stories, Chris. Different stories. Anyway, John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for What If Season 2, Episode 1, What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps?
Sure. Nova Prime recruits Nebula to join the Nova Corps following Ronan the Accuser's successful coup against Thanos. 5 years later, after Xandar is sealed off from the universe to protect itself from Ronan's forces, Nebula discovers the body of Yondu and receives orders from Nova Prime to investigate by any means necessary. She learns that Yondu located the code to open the planetary shield and enlists Kree soldier Yon-Rogg to infiltrate the Nova Corps mainframe to destroy them. Yon-Rogg betrays her, revealing that he and Nova Prime plan to give up Xandar to Ronan. Nebula survives an execution attempt by Nova Prime's men, subsequently enlisting casino owner Howard the Duck and his subordinates Groot and Korg to stop Nova Prime. During their fight, Nebula reveals she realized Nova Prime's defection when she assigned the mission to her and altered the code so that the shield would close again as the Dark Aster enters Xandar, destroying the ship and killing Ronan. Nova Prime tries to escape, but ultimately falls to her death. The shield reopens as Nebula prepares to continue defending Xandar. In the festive spirit that we're still in, I do feel that Yon-Rogg, well, it does. It rhymes with eggnog.
Yon-Rogg, yes, Jude Law returning from his time in Captain Marvel.
A random thought, I know.
It is not one.
It came to me in a moment.
It's partially because I'm currently searching through IMDb trying to remember the name of the character. Is it Meeks from
I'm trying to fill the negative zone.
I like it, John. I like it. Is it Meek from Thor Ragnarok? That's the character I was trying to think of, because there's a great moment where we have rock, paper, scissors being played, with rock being Korg, paper being Groot, of course, because he's a tree, and scissors being Meeks because he's got two big scissors as hands. So great little joke there in the episode.
Yeah, well, you got to do rock, paper, scissors, but it's superior rock. Always remember superior rock.
Well, superior paper because it's made of rock when Korg does it, which I like that joke.
It's a good joke too. It's a good joke. Right. So the way that we
enjoyed a Korg joke.
I know. It's shocking. Yeah, this did feel a little bit like a return to Thor: Love and Thunder with Taika Waititi, inserting a line every single time the character's on screen. Has to have a Korg line, doesn't it? I think that was one of our big complaints about Love and Thunder, that every time he saw Korg, he had to say something.
Yeah.
Whether it be funny or not, he had to say something.
I think he works in animation much more so than in live action, to be honest.
I'd probably agree with that.
I really like it.
Cartoonish character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, I'm such a big fan of Taika Waititi, and I always seem to complain about Korg as a character, but we won't complain about him too much. The way we cover What If, because it's been a while, it's been 2 years. The way we cover it is, first off, we just talk about what if we had seen this before. So what Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are the jumping off point for this storyline. So let's talk about that there. What movies have been taken into this one, really? I suppose, given the big change, it is the entire Infinity Saga is changed by this episode. So there are touch points throughout that, but some specific ones, obviously having Nebula in here, having the Nova Corps in here, that's taken from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yondu in there, of course, as well. So all taken from Guardians of the Galaxy. I mentioned Thor Ragnarok earlier on, which is where Korg and Meeks came from. We also saw Howard the Duck in here, who is in Guardians of the Galaxy as well. So any other touch points in the episodes?
Captain Marvel with Yon-Rogg. So obviously Captain Marvel has been pulled in from, so we know he's some form of kind of interaction with them. Question is whether that's as he was a Kree warrior and Ronan was backed by the Supreme Intelligence as part of that, or if Ronan was by himself and Yon-Rogg was still just a despot who was being mean everywhere in the galaxy.
Yeah, it took me a while to remember, actually, because I haven't seen Captain Marvel in a little while, maybe about a year or so. It took me a while to remember that, of course, her movie took place in 1994, which was way before the Infinity Saga kicked off. So Yon-Rogg is in prison following the end of Captain Marvel. So it doesn't change any of the storyline that happened to Captain Marvel. She sent him there at the end. She sent him to the Nova Corps to put him in prison. So that's where he's been languishing since 1994. So it took me a while to remember that. So nothing changed from Captain Marvel, but obviously that's where the character's taken from.
But it is as well, that big change is that, Ronan effectively has betrayed Thanos. So that whole, the Guardians of the Galaxy, where they stop Ronan, with the purple Infinity Stone, is something that doesn't happen. And as you say, so that Infinity Saga and all the way through, totally altered. I did like that moment with the Watcher sort of narrating that, and you kind of just see Thanos's helmet being swiped off by Ronan's Cosmi-Rod, or the staff, I guess. The staff sounds much better than Cosmi-Rod.
I know.
It sounds like he's kind of sort of exposing himself.
Matron, go get your Cosmi-Rod.
Well, it sounds like he's exposing himself. He's like, he's a shower, you know?
He could be a grower and a shower.
Well, he's given a hip thrust or something to Thanos with his Cosmi-Rod.
It's a very odd name, but I'm sure that's taken from the comics. There's no way they just invented something that bad for Guardians of the Galaxy.
I thought it was more weighty than that, than a Cosmi-Rod.
We did have to Google it. I didn't remember it was called the Cosmi-Rod from
otherwise you wouldn't have brought it up.
No, exactly. Maybe they called it something a bit more weighty in the movie. I'll have to check for sure. But yeah, I really like that. Yeah.
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 And that does kind of take us on to our second point. Normally we talk about what is the small change, what's the premise of the episode, the kind of thing that's changed from the universe. And the thing that has changed here is that Ronan has killed Thanos, and he's now trying to achieve the plan to gather the Infinity Stones. There's also mention that he did take Gamora on board with him as well, so he's taken her but left Nebula behind, and that's why she's gone to Nova Prime. If you remember, and I think this is quite interesting, in the Infinity Saga, when we did get to Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, Xandar was destroyed off screen. It was the first planet that Thanos went and destroyed to get the first Infinity Stone. He gathered that, or one of the Infinity Stones. He gathered the Infinity Stone by destroying the planet. So effectively, Ronan is trying to achieve that by going to Xandar to destroy it, but has been waylaid for about 5 years now because of this plan that Nova Prime has to seal off Xandar from the attacks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, like, it's kind of interesting concept, that planetary shield, but, and I kind of liked how, because the other change being that whilst Nebula wasn't taken on board by, Ronan, that, she was given another chance by Nova Prime. And I liked that, when Nebula says that Ronan went after Yondu, effectively attacking her new home, after destroying her old one as well, so she's constantly been in that sort of, crosshairs of Ronan, to some extent, indirectly by, going firstly after Thanos and now after Xandar. But yeah, you have this planetary shield, to keep Ronan out and his battleships, but it only lasts for 50 years, so it's on a timer. I wonder what the 50 years is. Is that when all the food runs out, or Howard's liquor dries up? And because it's kind of interesting, wait it out, or is it like, my kind of feeling on it was, well, this is where they build up their planetary defenses to the point where it's like, they know they can take down Ronan's fleet. But instead, it's all really kind of gone to pot.
Yeah, way worse.
And that's what I loved about this. I loved that Blade Runner vibe, the cop noir feel from Nebula. All the rain, the darkness. So it's almost like the shield has cut off the system's sun from reaching. It's raining constantly, and everyone's sort of falling apart rather than coming together. And I kind of like that dystopian feel, being a huge fan of Blade Runner.
Absolutely.
And kind of cop noir stuff anyway.
It's so distinctive from the beginning, as we hear the Watcher's voiceover when he says what's happening. It suddenly merges into Nebula's voiceover, taking over from that, very like Deckard's voiceover from Blade Runner. Very cool.
Yeah.
I was enamored with the aesthetic. For me, it had a good mix. The overall storyline had a good mix of kind of the intrigue of trying to figure out what was happening. The humor. So I know, look, we jokingly talked about Korg there. I'm a fan of Seth Green as Howard the Duck. Ever since, like you said, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, where we were like, I actually would still watch either TV show, kind of very much what if animated kind of Howard the Duck TV show based on the comics. It would be fun. It would be probably very Robot Chicken-esque. But I think that's an interesting one. And I enjoy that character. So they bring the comic relief, and then you've got this, as you said, the Deckard kind of very stylized Blade Runner-esque film noir. Like, literally, you could do black and white, and with smoking, like, with kind of Nebula smoking, you would get that same vibe.
Absolutely.
And then all the way to the end, where you do have what I would kind of classify as kind of a two-part action, but then almost like an Ocean's 11 twist, where it's like, surprise, we've always known what you're going to do, and this is how we kind of came out and did the flip at the end. So you've got these very distinct styles, but they meshed it very well from both story, aesthetic, and I'd say delivery. Because it merges well. Like, each of the scenes, even when you have them all suiting up for action with the guns and stuff, they inserted a bit of comedy into the beats, and it was funny, and I enjoyed the kind of, I was like, ha! Like, very much it was kind of one of those kind of guttural, like, out loud laughs. And that was fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And I mean, it's even just like the investigation, with Yondu, having been killed, and you have Nebula sort of working through it, we need to go after his weapon, the arrow, rather than looking for Yondu's killer's weapon, like the other members of the Nova Corps were doing. So I kind of liked all that sort of the investigation, and even with the double or triple cross that you get at the end, like you were saying,
Such a classic trope. Yeah.
I like the fact that, as Nova Prime is, calling, Nebula and saying to her, you're on this mission, use any means necessary. Like when we watched it for the second time, you see Nebula react to that comment, which I didn't pick up on the first time. So I love those little touches that they bring in, which then you go, okay, yes, she was suspicious with that comment, given that, it ultimately breaks the oath of the Nova Corps, and their, be true to yourself, integrity, always stay with the light. And this is completely against that. So I like the fact that happened. And they have, they have those little touches through here. I think, like, on the aesthetic as well. I mean, I really liked Nebula's aesthetic. Ultimately, when she was in pain, it's really weird, I know, but when she's linked up to the old citywide mainframe in order to sort of delete that source code for this shield that's surrounding Xandar, and you have the betrayal of Yon-Rogg, just with the red coming through in her eyes, and then later on, because she survives that explosion in that mainframe, and she's about to be beaten up and, as Nova Prime says, and melt her parts down, by the other members of the Nova Corps. And they've got their sort of batons, again, that blue, it's really vivid, sort of the agony. And it always took me back to where Thanos has effectively deconstructed Nebula, who's his daughter, and causing her pain. And Nebula, so weird to say, but the pain that she gets, was still in here, that element, just through these different moments of conflict within the show. But I thought it was just really well done.
Nebula never has an easy life.
No, she doesn't.
And Karen Gillan plays that role so well and always had, but I kind of like the arc of this story. Almost brings her to the same point that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 does, where she is now a leader. She's respected by her peers, and she is on a path that's redeemed what she had done in the past, working alongside Thanos. So, so while her path's not easy, she does have a happy ending almost.
And I loved the Watcher where he's saying, redemption always starts in the dark, but with a little grit and faith in yourself, you can make your way to the light.
There you go. Yeah.
Which is, exactly. Which I think, if we go to our third point, around what if the universe was changed forever, in a sense, Nebula still gets her redemption here.
Yep.
With all the agony that comes from being stunned, sort of almost blown up, beaten up, you name it. The one thing that doesn't change for me is, Nebula has become one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe. And it's all through the MCU and the animation like this. I've absolutely enjoyed her arc, the vibe of her, because, she's a complicated character and she's gone through adversity. I really, really enjoyed that. And it was the same here. I was like, this was really cool for Nebula. Everything she's in, I really enjoy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She's the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Winter Soldier wasn't an amazing character in the comic books. I'm just saying that, he wasn't, he was brought back by Brew Baker and all those, and he was really made to be, Bucky was made to be this character. But in the MCU, he has the same aesthetic, as Nebula, or sorry, they have the same aesthetic and kind of backstory, which is bad guy, potentially good person, turned bad.
Yeah.
Then remade in some form where they always end up becoming a good person, be it through hook or by crook. They end up kind of becoming a hero again. And we talked about in Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier by the end of it, Winter Soldier, Bucky is the hero again. He is he's a darkened hero, but he's a hero.
Yeah.
Very much in the same way Nebula is a hero no matter where you put her. Towards the end, she does kind of lean towards the light.
Absolutely.
And I would agree with John. I enjoy Karen Gillan's portrayal always.
Yeah, definitely.
She just does something gruff with her voice, but also quite a lot of emotion as well.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
But I mean, I guess the main change is that Xandar is still intact. It's not been decimated by Thanos or by Ronan.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Like, what a cool move from Nebula, where effectively the shield codes that she's given open the shield and close them on his ship, destroying the ship. So Ronan's dead now. So there is nobody now chasing after the Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
this
they are
changes.
in the wind.
Yeah, but this changes the entire MCU. Effectively, there's nothing from this point onwards. Nobody's chasing them. There's no big threat. Does it mean the Avengers never get together?
Yeah.
Because they got together because Loki was going to Earth to gather an Infinity Stone, right? Or that happened just before this, maybe. I think that happened maybe a little bit before this.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But it depends on when Thanos was destroyed, I suppose.
Yeah. For me, this would have been a potential to bring in Nova, the actual character of Nova from the comic books. Either Richard Rider or Sam Alexander. Okay. Where people have been screaming for Nova for ages. Like they just it's Marvel's version of Green Lantern.
I don't know whether anybody is screaming for another version of Green Lantern, regardless of whether it's Marvel or DC.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, Deadpool did give Ryan Reynolds a headshot in Deadpool 2, just to say, don't join Green Lantern, right? So that was just a joke. Sorry, we saw Deadpool 2 over Christmas as well.
Yeah, it's such a good film.
Yeah, little legs.
Anyway, so like Nova, I think that would have been a really fun one to bring in.
And there is a moment when you see a fully suited up Nova Corps guard, and only one of them wearing the Nova helmet. So it does look like the Nova character, but then you kind of see a guy in the background also carrying a helmet. So I don't think it was. It might just been a nod to it, though.
Exactly. I think that's what it was. But yeah, these are universes that I enjoy I know What If rarely does a sequel ever. So it's kind of, even in the comic books, they don't really kind of go back to a What If storyline and alternate universe. But these are some of the ones like DC doing Elseworlds. I go back and see what else, how did this change continue on? And you can do those continuations. Because here it is. The new Guardians of the Galaxy is Nebula and her Nova Corps.
Basically, yeah.
Like the new Police of the Galaxy, the new Nova Prime is Nebula? Mm-hmm. Almost.
I guess so.
Yeah, let's hope. That'd be cool. But you don't get the sense that is actually happening. But
no. It
seems like there's a massive power vacuum, because even, as they're about to open up the planetary shield, her kind of sort of little loyal band of Nova Corps, led by Peter Serafinovich, or Garthan Sal, is the character's name, then, they seem to have taken out a lot of the Nova Corps, at least in their main building. So,
but they're all dead because Korg smashed him face first into the ground. It was funny when I heard Peter Serafinowicz's voice. He does so much voice work. I'd forgotten he was a central character in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He was actually on screen, because he's so often not on screen. He did the voice of Darth Maul famously in the Star Wars prequels. He's so often not on screen that I forgot that he was on screen in Guardians of the Galaxy. The only other movie I can remember him being in was Shaun of the Dead. But I saw him there and I went, oh wow, okay. They brought him back, and they're continuing his storyline in a different way than we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is quite cool. Yeah. But yeah, it looks like he's dead. Korg smacked him and Yon-Rogg directly into the ground, so that probably killed him.
Yeah.
I do love that was the callback to Hulk.
Yeah.
The exact Hulk move where Hulk smashes Loki and stuff. He's like, and I was like, yeah, that's fun. That's a fun nod.
That's a good touch. Anything else changed other than the entire MCU after this episode?
Everything.
Yeah, I liked Howard the Duck in this. That changed.
Yeah.
Very good.
See?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I thought I really enjoyed Howard in this.
So we're ready for Seth Green to do his spin-off show.
Yeah.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I certainly did. I did.
You'd
I
welcome
liked
to see
Howard the
more
Duck
of
in
him.
this.
Let's say that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably the first time John said that in
Yes.
all the appearances of Howard the Duck. We've seen quite a lot of them.
Well, not that much.
Yeah.
It's been, 4 times in the MCU, including, the animated forms?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah. Yeah. And I know last time we saw him, he was going off with Darcy, wasn't he?
Yes.
In season 1 of What If. So we have a weird ending for the character in one of the multiverses.
Yes.
A good ending. An ending he deserves.
Not an ending Darcy deserves, though, I don't
Well,
think.
yeah, little Darcy ducklings.
Maybe.
Quack, quack.
Indeed. Would it be an egg laid or a usual mammalian
I
birth?
don't think I want to
let's
even
not
think
go
about it.
into that.
I don't want to think about it. Didn't want to think about it after the original Howard the Duck movie. Don't want to think about it now. Any other notes of the episode? Anything else you want to talk about, guys?
No, nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
The only thing that just kept popping out to me throughout the episode, I just wanted to mention that we haven't mentioned. Nebula gets a nickname here that everybody seems to be using on her, and I don't know why. Why is everybody calling her Nebby? That seems weird.
Yeah.
She's a very violent character, usually prone to anger quite quickly. I wasn't sure if she would accept Nebby. Like, you hear it on the flashback that she's gotten from Yondu, the one that she uses to control his whistle weapon, that he calls her Nebby. Howard the Duck calls her Nebby a couple of times. I find that weird.
Nebby the
I think it's
Nebula.
that kind of, she's not going to kill you now, so it's just like, how far can you push the bear?
Maybe.
Nebby
Until it
the
strikes
Nebula
back.
went to town.
By the circus. Da, 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 da. Hey!
Weird. But anyway, I just wanted to mention it. I just thought it was a bit odd. Guys, overall, let's get on to our defends for the episode. Chris, do you defend season 2, episode 1 of What If? What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps?
Yes, I do. It's a fun reintroduction to the What If premise. It's actually a good one, because it is that very much a small single change changes the universe.
Yeah.
The nature and fabric of the MCU as we know it. And it gives you 3 different fun aesthetics. You get a film noir, a bit of comedy, a bit of action, wrapped in a beautiful aesthetic of this animation. So yeah, I completely defend it.
Brilliant stuff. How about yourself, John? Do you defend season 2, episode 1 of What If?
Yes, I do defend episode 1 of What If here. I would give this 5 Black Order trash out of 5.
Nice.
I really, really enjoyed it. I loved Nebula being the central character here. Like Chris said, just that little change with Ronan betraying Thanos and getting him out of the way, and just how it's completely changed everything. I loved the aesthetic. Totally up my street. The investigation, the cop noir feel, the Blade Runner links with that sort of rain, the dark, the android effectively, or cyborg, being, as the lead cop.
Mm-hmm.
I love the sort of double cross, triple cross, everything about this. And I enjoyed Korg. I enjoyed Howard the Duck. Yeah, that light relief there in the background. Really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, 5 Black Order trash out of 5.
Excellent. Good stuff. I like that, John. Black Order trash. Very good. For me, I definitely defend this episode. I thought this was a really interesting use of the What If premise. As we kind of mentioned up front, the question that's being asked here, is a really good one. It did feel like a What If comic. You look at the front of the issue and you go, what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? I wonder how that will play out. Here it plays out massively. She basically ends the Infinity War by uploading some code because she kills Ronan. Ronan has killed Thanos, right? So that's it. There's no more Avengers. The whole universe has changed. I think that's absolutely fascinating that they've made such a huge story out of her just joining the Nova Corps. What a great idea, and what a great version of a What If story. So really good. Some great performances in here. As I said, the animation is fantastic. It's always kind of difficult when they recast a major character from the movies. They do bring in so many voice actors from the movies to voice these characters. Karen Gillan is so good as Nebula. It's great that they brought her on board here to continue that character. But someone like Glenn Close was such a big character as Nova Prime in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Julianne Grossman does a really good job of impersonating Glenn Close in the scenes that she has as that character. I think it's almost seamless, even though it does have to change. What I do also find quite interesting is, even though we see Groot in here and all he ever says is "I am Groot." It is a different voice actor for Groot as well. Fred Tetraskower, who's done Groot throughout all of the animated shows, comes back here to voice Groot instead of Vin Diesel, who's voiced him in the movies only. So I think that's quite interesting that they've got somebody else to voice the I am Groot here. See, yeah, definitely. I am Groot is a million expressions.
Yes. Groot. I am.
That's it for our coverage of the first episode, but what if we had some feedback?
And we do. First up on email, we have Coffee and Vodka, who says, "Greetings, fellow downloadable defenders. Not much to say other than pretty solid. The plot hole of Nova Prime somehow predicting Nebula breaking out Yon-Rogg was offset by everything else in the episode. Love seeing Howard again, though it would have been nice to see Darcy at his side, and poor Yondu. He just never seems to catch a break. The best thing about this one is it stands aloneness. Hoping for more of the same down the line. Tightly written, wonderfully animated, interesting, action-packed and fun. 4 defensive Dyson spheres, data Korgs and prime landing rates out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka."
Thanks, Coffee and Vodka, for sending in your thoughts of the first episode. I think we're about the same on it. A really good episode overall. Is it a plot hole, how Nova Prime predicts Nebula breaking out Yon-Rogg, or is that because Nebula kind of knows what Nova Prime wants because she said by any means necessary? Has she pushed her down the path and Nebula's kind of taken the bait but not taken the bait? That's the thing with triple crosses. You can't really work out where the cross starts and ends.
And as well, I do think like Nova Prime and Yon-Rogg obviously working together. So there's been some contact there for them to then be in cahoots in the central control room. So again, it's, she was channeling her towards that pathway.
Yeah.
I'd agree. And this for me is it's, as Derek said, it's where the cross begins and ends. But part of it is Nova Prime is a top of the line cop. So kind of predicting, reading people, knowing what they may or may not do is something that you can expect from a top-of-the-line cop.
Yeah.
But that saying, also, Nebula kind of knew what they wanted based on the actions and the comments. So you're like, okay, it's somewhere in that murky mess is the truth, and that's fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great stuff. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. Over on Facebook, we got some feedback in from Heather Wallace, who says, "I really enjoyed this. The artwork was glorious, and it had a strong Blade Runner vibe too. I'm excited for the second season of the show."
Thanks, Heather. Yeah, I think a lot of people have kind of picked up on that Blade Runner vibe.
Totally
even
intentional.
we also have feedback from Jeff Childs on Facebook. He was like, "I really liked the Blade Runner film noir feel of the episode, and I loved Karen Gillian's voiceover." So again, people kind of very quickly picking up on what the style that they were trying to put out in this. Yeah. From a direction point of view, they nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great stuff. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Jeff. Also, Richard Blaze says, "I have the same problem as I had with every episode of the first season. The episodes are too damn short. I really enjoyed the style and look of this obvious rip-offs of Blade Runner and Cyberpunk throughout. Yeah, I do know what you mean around the shortness of the episodes, but I mean, I like this. It felt contained. It felt, good pacing through this, but, I mean, you kind of almost want sort of a feature-length animation of this,
It's always the thing with What If, that they can tell a really great story that you want to see more of. I know we're going to be getting, more Marvel Zombies in the future. They have a season of that show commissioned, so that will spin out of What If, but there's other things that could spin out of this season of What If. But they are always going to be 30-minute animated episodes. But I think that's a good complaint to have. Leave them wanting more, as they always say, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Richard. We also had some feedback in from Lindsay Lois, who says, "I love the aesthetic and seeing a different version of Nebula is always a delight. Plus, the animation really felt like it improved in ways I can't quite articulate. Totally saw the Yon-Rogg betrayal coming a mile away, and naturally, he had to have had help from outside to pull it all off. Thankfully, our cyborg corpsman and her merry band of misfits bested the corrupt members of the Nova Corps, even defeating Ronan and his men in the process, thus giving Xandar a brand new beginning. I like that this feels symbolic to Nebula's own journey, a process of starting anew despite her dark, turbulent past. I always welcome such redemption stories where a character actually works towards their better self rather than dying before they get a chance. All in all, a solid start to the season, and I eagerly await the rest of the episodes. Happy holidays, fellow defenders.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. Yeah, definitely happy holiday back to yourself as well. I think that Nebula's journey, I think we touched on that. It's really a good one. But it's meaningful, it's weighty, and as you say, they actually achieve it. It's not just simply, killed in the last moment, or killed and they realize the error of their ways.
Yeah.
There's a real change here.
There's the sacrifice for redemption arc that's done so often.
Yeah.
I think even Yondu did that, right? It happens so often. But I love that she does eventually get a happy ending, but she goes through lots of troubles. Great stuff. Thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks, fellow defenders, for the feedback. Keep it coming on in through email at feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or through the spoiler comments over on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries. We're also on that thing called Twitter at TV Pod Industries. If you would also like to send in any thoughts there.
Absolutely. You can also find us on Threads now because it was opened up over the December period. So we are over on Threads. You can find us there at TV Pod Industries. The more people that follow us there and interact with our polls there, the more chance we'll be able to get rid of stupid Twitter, which I'm really looking forward to.
Or stupid X. Although the problem with Threads that I have is it's the same name as the movie or the British film made in like the late 1970s that was weirdly shown to us in school about nuclear holocaust.
It's terrifying.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a
terrifying.
film called Threads?
Oh, have you never? Oh,
Yeah.
Chris.
No, I'm going to check this out.
It is terrifying. And just, if you do get to watch it, Chris, just remember, kids in school, like talking 13, 14-year-olds, were made to watch this in class. It is terrifying. It's one of the most horrifying films I've ever seen.
Let's hope.
I'm going to try it now.
Yeah. Let's hope the Cold War doesn't carry on.
Exactly.
That's all I can think of.
Exactly. But there is lots more What If to come. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode. We will be back next time to discuss Season 2, Episode 2, What If Peter Quill Attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
Thanks so much, fellow defenders, and speak to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, fellow defenders. Great to be back and great chatting with you. Until next time, keep watching, keep listening, and of course, keep defending.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.